And
Okay.
so first of all, y'all, this is Ryan and Jenkins from the Crown by Nichele podcast. And this is a pre-recorded episode. So by the time you see this will be October 8th. But y'all, when I say everything in me is trying to get emotional because this guy here. So we go back to, oh gosh, 08.
Way back. We go way back.
Oh, it's a minute. It's a minute. So the Crown by Nichele podcast, our theme is just spreading light. So I'm trying to bring anyone on here that I feel like will be encouraging. And today's episode, I struggled with it a little bit because I was like, well, how would I form this? Because basically, I want him to share his journey, how he got started. So I came up with the title "Cultivating Greatness" because this young man we saw from early. And I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, but I can't say it without saying this. So this young man, I was pregnant in 2005. And I'll never forget the excitement the kids were having, you know, and of course I'm feeling some type of way because I am a single mom. This is not what I'm expecting. So Jay comes up to me and says, I need to play in your baby shower. And I said, what? He's like, I'm going to play in your baby shower. So just tell me what you want. Tell me how you want to do it. And I'm just like, and I already knew, like, my mom was already doing 2 baby showers, other people doing baby showers. So I said, well, you can do a diaper shower. So I'm just expecting to walk in the room and see diapers. No. Not only, I think I came back earlier than they, because they had it right after school, and I came back from bus duty, and I'm thinking I'm walking in just diapers. They turned me around because they weren't finished decorating. They had to decorate the room. I remember streamers coming down, and I'm mad at this DJ. There are no pictures. Yes. There are no pictures. Like, where was the camera person?
There's no pictures. It was one of those things you had to just be there.
Exactly. So then I walk in, and I remember they had my rolly chair decorated that I had to sit in.
Yep, and right in the middle.
Yes. So then not only was the room beautifully decorated, he had a program. So I remember, and I don't remember all the names, but I remember 2 young ladies. They played the violins. They did a duet. I remember Dylan, because Dylan ended up doing a play with you the following year at the school y'all ended up going to, and Dylan played his guitar. And I remember his dad saying Dylan wanted to bring his drums and his guitar, but that was not happening. Jay and I want to say with 2 other young ladies who did like a dance ensemble, like an interpretive dance. And I felt like it was somebody else who did something, but
I want to say maybe we had a poem. I feel like we had a poem. I think so. Because we knew you like poem.
Yeah, because I wrote poetry, but so I just remember, like, literally when they finally asked me to say whatever, I broke down and had to stop myself from crying because that I never experienced that type of love and appreciation. And it was just like, you knew then. And honestly, I didn't know then the magnitude of what he did until he came to me years later. And I want to say, I can't remember what the name of the company was, but I remember you were telling me
it was Unique Feather. It was Unique Feather at that time.
And you were telling me that the theme was Be Bold. And I wrote a poem that I ended up publishing in my book. And so it was like seeing that years later, and now what he's doing, what's popping. And please make sure I'm saying that correctly.
Yes, you are. What's Poppin Balloon Decor. Yep.
So I'm gonna I'm learning how to make banners. So
that's good.
So if you want to follow him, there's his handle right there. Is that on? I know it's on Instagram. Is it also on TikTok?
So it's on TikTok. We're on Pinterest, and we just got on LinkedIn. And as we get deeper into the conversation, we'll talk about why we're all on those platforms. But those are the 2 on the main TikTok. So you'll be
okay. So basically, it was like it hit me. Honestly, with Unique Feather, it hit me with that company. Like, dang! So what I saw in 6th grade manifested itself. So is there anything else you want to add to your intro before we really get into the meat of this?
So I just want to say hi, everyone. to me, I know to the world she's Ryan Jenkins, but to me she's still Mrs. Jenkins. So I'm just gonna say Miss Jenkins. It's just a respect thing. I was raised in the South, and she didn't play that, so it was no disrespect. So it was Miss Jenkins, and so I am a world-renowned celebrity, whatever they want to say these days, balloon artist, and I love what I do. I have this saying where I say pop out, and that's literally what I do with my balloon installations. I don't even like to call them installations. I say balloon moments. So to give myself a title, I just like to say balloon architect because I go in with these balloons and create these magical moments. So yeah.
So if you are not already, again, I'm gonna put his social media. I mean, because every time he posts something, I reshare on my,
Yes, yes, always.
because I'm always amazed. So I'm gonna just hop right into it. So my first thing was when you came up to me, and I don't know if you remember this moment when you came up to me and asked to plan my baby shower. Was that something you were already doing? Now, imagine, I forgot to add this. He was in sixth grade, y'all.
Yes,
Sixth
sixth
grade.
grade.
Okay. Was this something that was already an interest or a hobby of yours, or was just an idea you just came up with at the time?
Well, at that time, I would always say, like, prime example, the sixth grade was actually, if we're going to go deep into it, was actually probably one of those moments for me where it was like an awakening and you're finding out who you are. You're in middle school, you're
Mm,
going through those motions. Because I remember you having us, we had to do a book for you when we first started, and it was like, tell us about yourself. So for
mhm,
me, it was, I wanted to be a stylist. And then
mm,
I met, and I've loved always acting and singing. And then I met Mr. Collins. And then, I'm doing the plays. And so I've always had a thing for the creative arts, but I never
mhm,
thought that my hands would be involved with it. I thought it would be something else where I'm on a stage and it's like, well, God has given me a stage. So at
mhm,
that time, I just wanted to do something of the art. So I didn't know what that was because I love clothes. I'm like, oh, I want to open
mhm,
that. In that booklet, I said I wanted to open a boutique.
mhm.
So, I didn't
Remember that.
know, I don't, at this moment, and that's something I may still want to do, but I love the arts. So it's
Mhm.
always been that way.
So when did it transition from you loving? Because I remember I don't remember. Do you remember the play you and Dylan were in the following year? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Because I actually still have the picture of y'all. What
Did
was the
you,
name
so
of the
we didn't,
play?
so we didn't, it was a Broadway, like, I want to say, I don't know the correct terms anymore, but it was a Broadway like mashup. So we did like
Okay.
different songs and
That is right.
different acts from
Mhm.
different Broadway shows. So like we did High School Musical. Dylan was a main character in High School Musical. I was a main character in Hairspray. They did Dream Girls. So they did different
Mhm.
snippets at that
And I
time.
want to say it's all coming back to me, so I remember all that.
Yes.
So when exactly did it transition from you knew you wanted to be in the arts, you were in creative arts as far as acting. So when did it transition? Did you realize you wanted to do decor and design?
So being raised in the church, I was a grandma's boy. So like
Mhm.
Easter, Christmas, the first ladies, they want to make sure that their church looks good, the foyer area, the
Mhm.
stage and things of that sort. So I've always had my input with that. So I've always helped out with that.
Mhm.
Um, but in my mind, I always knew that I would do something with fashion. I never thought it would necessarily be, it was either fashion or Broadway. Let me be honest. It was
Okay.
fashion or Broadway. So it was always something. But then as I got older, I knew that I like putting on events. And it's something about when I see people excited from this event that they trusted someone else with, from a weddings
Mhm.
perspective, from a balloon perspective. It's just something about it. So it just grew more and more. And then I love doing my own birthday parties. I've always planned I'm a Virgo, and you're a Virgo too. So you know how
Mhm.
we are about our birthdays. I'm like, no, it needs to be this red. It's cherry red. I want this red. I want this, like, and so it became a thing for me. And then I interned with a young man in Charlotte who's well known. He does a lot of Christmas decor now, but I
Mhm.
interned with him for 2 to 3 years, and
Mhm.
then it just blossomed into, I went to a class in New York, and from there is when I found my love for balloons.
Mhm.
Because they had a 16-foot tree made of balloons, and I was like, I want to do
Mhm.
that because at that time balloons weren't as popping as they were 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
now you see balloons everywhere.
Mhm.
You there at the dentist, they at the baby shower, they at the divorce parties, they at the church settings. I mean, they're everywhere now. And I don't want to really say it's a trendy thing because I do believe it's here to stay because
Okay.
I've been in the business for 6 years and I've met some designers that's been in the industry for 21 years and 50 years. I'm like, you were doing balloons that long?
Mm.
But with everything that you do, no matter what you're doing, even if you're a teacher or a makeup artist, you always want to evolve to do something different within your
Mhm.
industry. So,
Yes. So my other question to you that I immediately thought about is, okay, so when you went to, I'm wondering, what was your grandparents' reaction when you said, I want to plan Miss Jenkins' baby shower? Like, was it supportive? Did they make sure you had whatever you need? Like, what was your support network like at that age?
so one thing that I've always been able to do was kind of voice what I wanted. I'm
Mm-hmm.
a grandma's boy, so if I told my grandma I wanted the world, she's going to make it happen. And I
Mm-hmm.
think every grandma's like that. But not only with them, my grandmother was like, "Okay, let's do it. Whatever you need." Of
Mm-hmm.
course, there's restrictions because we're children and they're adults, so they're not going to go out and spend $1,500. We
Yeah.
had to make it work with what we had to make it work with.
And they made it work, y'all. They made it
Yes, we had our programs. I wish I could still. We had yellow ones, green ones, blue ones, and they had like the what is the bird that carries the baby? I can't think of it.
The
Is it a
stork.
swan?
The
Yeah,
stork.
we had the stork on the actual like. So even the school with us having the our classroom when we did class with you, we
Mm-hmm.
were a family because Miss Jenkins we didn't do drama, we didn't do the
Mm-mm.
back and forth, we literally, even if you didn't like someone, she was like, no, you're gonna work with them, like
Mm-hmm.
this is how you're gonna work. Like, mind you, me and Dylan sat behind each other and we stayed arguing, but we put it together for the actual baby shower, and that's what it's all about. So I think for me, I've always been a person about love and just embracing people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always, this, I've always been talkative. I'm a chitter chatter in that room. So
Mm-hmm.
we made it work, and I think just having that support is what made it even better.
And the reason why I asked you that is because it is very imperative as parents, and that's what I hope who's also tuning in. When you see your child has a particular talent, you help them
Embrace
hone
it.
in on it, embrace it. So I honestly, with Joshua, um, we saw early he liked to draw. So I remember my mom, we looking up courses he could take at USC. And then we put him in an arts, more like an engineering program in his elementary school. We
Okay.
made sure he was in the arts classes, and we end up having him apply for the arts magnet that he graduated from this past June.
Okay.
So and even though he's not necessarily using arts, we knew that was something he was going to thrive in, whatever, because
Mhm.
he does borderline. If I let him, and if he could, he would be a tattoo artist right now.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but the thing is, you can't, I think, be a resident or be a technician till you're like 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, dude, you're going, okay, so what are we doing in between then? He's like, well, I'll just go to school. And I was like, okay. So we'll
Okay.
see what happens to that. Like, he has a kit where he
Okay.
can practice and all that and
Has
whatnot.
he
But
been practicing?
apparently so. I have not
Okay.
seen it because I know he took it to school with him.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
like, he has like fake skin and all that type. Like, so,
What?
yeah. I didn't know that was a thing. Like, I didn't know what
But
the bar.
see, but also when you get into it, like, and that's what I love about the world that we live in right now. Like, say for
Mhm.
example, tattoo artists. There's a whole world of just tattoo artistry and tattoo. Like, when you like,
Mhm.
I googled like who was one of the largest balloon artists. There was a young lady, I can't pronounce her name, but she's from Germany, and
Mhm.
she started doing balloons in 2008, but she was like doing like
Mhm.
things for like parades and everything, and now she lives in Germany,
Wow.
and she has a whole inflatable brand for like house decor. And it's just
Wow.
like, so when you just said that and you're like, it's fake skin, it's this is that,
Mhm.
once you find a niche and you actually believe in that niche and you believe in
Mhm.
yourself and you
Mhm.
push that thing and you study, you have to study to show yourself approved though. That's what I think
Mhm.
people tend to forget. You have to put that work in to see the actual fruit of your labor.
Mhm.
You just can't wake up and say, "Oh, I'm a tattoo artist," and you've never even held the tools to know how
Mhm.
bad it shakes to do it, or you've never even did the necessary steps to get to where you're going to even have that title
The
as
word.
a.
Mhm.
Yes. So I love that and parents, if you're on here, if your child sings, acts, dance, wants to get into makeup, growing up, that was not something that we looked at as a real job. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't. But
Mm-mm.
now there's so much. If your child has a talent, embrace it. If they love social media, let them use social media to your, to your discretion.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much right now that influencers and content creators are just making money by being themselves. To
Yes.
thousands of dollars, thousands of dollars.
Yes.
So if that's something I can tell the parents on here, if it's not even a parent, if it's you, if you feel like you have a voice, use it, because yes,
Mm-hmm.
you can monetize off of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what was crazy, because last week, was it last? I think it was last week. One of my guests, who we were talking about home ownership, and he was saying how one of his clients is an influencer, and
Mm-hmm.
he saw how much she brings in monthly, and he was
Yes.
like, and it was like he said. And I said that tripped me out, because I remember like kind of knocking my students at the time, because I was still too new to this. And they were like, yeah, I'm going to be an influencer. I'm going to be a YouTuber. And I was like, doing what though? And they
Mhm.
couldn't really tell me. But now I see, like, now how if you find what your niche is and you can find your
Mhm.
voice and how you want to project that, there is money to be made off of that.
Once you build you and I always say it, once you build you a beehive, which is a
Mm-hmm.
community, that's how I always tell it to my
Mm-hmm.
class. Once you build a community, you've won it. I have a saying that I say, "Hey, stink," and it's, for me, it's like an empowerment thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have most of the event industry saying, "Hey, Stink," like even my inquiries are like, "Stink," like I went out to eat, and so I was like, "Hey, Stink," it's a thing. So build that
Mm-hmm.
community of your people, and I
Mm-hmm.
love that you're having a podcast. Like, build that community, because you've always been about community as well,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
love that. So you've always been about, letting your intellectual side show as well. You've always been like that with us.
Thank you.
It's okay to be angry, but why are you
Mhm.
angry? You always wanted to say,
Yeah.
you always told us it's okay to have a smart mouth, but you need to understand that there's a protocol with having that smart mouth. So that you've always
Yeah.
taught us, and I want to say I appreciate you for that,
Thank you.
because you don't. There's teachers. I still talk to most of you guys. Like, I wasn't a bad kid, but
Mhm.
just having to be able to see you grow and to see me grow, and it's like you're watching your students grow into something. I know that that has to feel good, and so I just want to
Mhm.
give you your flowers at this moment. I know that's not where the question was, but
No,
you
you're
deserve that.
fine.
You really
I
deserve that.
greatly appreciate that. Like, I remember one moment me and you had, and it wasn't a bad moment, but I was swelling up really bad with my pregnancy, and you started running around the room in circles. Oh my gosh, she's about to have the baby. I was like, Jay, I'm just going home and putting my feet up. No,
No, I know. It's just like, oh my god. Like,
So I remember that moment, and I was like, no, Jay, it's not like that.
yeah.
So it was just like, I definitely believe in community, and I definitely believe in these kids honing in on their talents and believe in who they are. And that's why, honestly, that's why it was so hard for me when God spoke to me around this time last year in October. Pretty much it is October. He was like, you're leaving the classroom. And I knew, like, God, like, what? Because I knew how much I love what I was doing.
Doing, yes, and
Granted,
you
I
touched a
didn't
lot of
like high
us.
school. I did
What?
not like high school. Ooh.
No,
Mm-mm.
no, the high school students. I'm not even gonna lie. When I got to high school, machine guns, you probably been like, I know he not, yeah, because high school, I don't, as I've gotten older now, and I know that times have gotten worse.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just for teachers, actually, what y'all have to go through, because it's like, hey, I need the class quiet, and that one student is like, and you like, oh, this what we doing? Okay, cool. So they don't even care about you calling security no more, because they're gonna get the last word.
Oh yeah, exactly. And honestly, it's like that to a middle school level. Middle school is a little bit. I hate to use this word. They're a little bit more complicit, a little bit
Okay.
more compliant, because they have a little bit more innocence about them.
Yeah.
High school really believes, and it's not all of them. It's not all of them.
No.
It's not like I was having to kick kids in and out every single day, but it was a level of grownness that they really felt like.
They were
"Hmm."
at now.
And I'm like, nah, we're not doing this. We're not doing
Yeah.
this. So it's just, I knew, Jay, I knew after day 3 of my first year, in my last year of high school, I was like, this is not it.
Oh,
This
no.
is not it. So, like, even if I was to go back to teaching,
It wouldn't be
middle
high school.
school, it will be definitely back to middle school. So that, yeah. So it's just one of the things, like, I'm not. So you mentioned having the internship. Was there ever a moment in the midst of that internship where you felt like where either your dream was challenged, where you felt like, I don't know if I can do this, or you have to push yourself to keep going?
Yes, there was a moment. I actually, I was there was a moment that happened, and I think that's what deterred me away because
Mm-hmm.
when you have a client that is depending on you for their big day and you
Mm-hmm.
don't deliver and you can, and it's like that's that letdown. I can't take that. I can't
Okay.
take that. And so for me, it's almost like when if a singer gets booed off a stage, it's like I don't know if I'm ready to go back out there. So that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
how I felt with that whole situation, and I just never really looked back. Now, do I help and assist now behind the scenes? Yes, but I would
Mm-hmm.
never go out because it's and I commend any planner, but it's the stress of you have to deal with vendors, you're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
finances. You're dealing
Mm-hmm.
with the planner. You're dealing with the planner may call you at 8 p.m. like, hey, my grandmother doesn't have a makeup artist. My auntie don't got a dress, and now you've become their armor bearer versus their planner. And it's just like I
Wow.
think about if you have 5 clients in 1 month who have a wedding, and if like I love being just the balloon artist because it's like I'm out, but I commit that, and I have not mastered it. Being I just turned 30 2 weeks ago, and I probably can say this. I have not mastered my anxiety yet,
Okay.
and so me personally, and I always say I have bad anxiety and good anxiety because on my 30th birthday I cried like 4 times. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know why I was crying, but my friend was telling me and my friend were talking that day, and she was like, I just said, I don't know why I'm crying. And it wasn't like it wasn't a sad cry, but it wasn't a happy cry. It was just one of those cries where it was just like, I never thought that I would be where I am today. Like it was just
Mm-hmm.
one of those cries. Like it was just
Overjoyed.
over. I don't. Yeah, and I just
Okay.
so that's why I was like when dealing with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what made me deter away from it because all of those emotions in one, I had not balanced that out as a human being yet,
Mm.
and so
Oh my gosh. So were there any, what would you say were some of your, because actually one of the next topics is like literally your journey, your mountains and your valleys. So even in the midst of when you transition into balloon decor, what
hmm
what were, I guess, some of the high moments and what were some low moments, but you still kept going, or you
my
had to
one of my
keep
one of
going?
my high moment is in our industry at this time we were doing style shoots. So a style shoot is pretty much like say for example you used to do modeling. You
Mm-hmm.
probably didn't think I remembered, but basically a style shoot is like building your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
basically, you're able to now that you have Instagram, that's your portfolio. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget it. I spent $3,500 on my very first shoot, and the theme was
Mm,
bridal and balloons. And I'm gonna be completely honest with this answer. There were not many black designers who wanted to back me with this shoot because when you do a style shoot, typically everybody comes together and they're like,
mhm.
everybody puts in. I was the new kid
Yeah.
on the block. I'm like, I got this dream. I'm emailing,
Mhm.
probably a lot of grammatical issues at this time because I'm just, I'm so excited. I'm like, oh, no, no, no. I had about out of 18 people reach out, 3 people responded and was like, I see your vision. I want to help you.
Mm.
Mind you, at that time, I was probably 24. So,
Okay.
I was 24 and I was still a leasing agent and a bartender. So I was doing all of this at one time. And after that shoot, I went to sleep and I woke up and we had went viral. That was the one of the highest moments of my
Mm.
career at that time. And a editorial magazine picked up the shoot in Australia. And all of this happened within a week.
Mm.
However, the bookings hadn't been rolling in yet. And so at that time I was really trapping out the leasing office because I was having people come pick up the balloons,
Mhm.
on Fridays. I'm like, you got your baby shower on Sunday, you got to come pick up these balloons on Friday. But you got to come to the back of the office so my manager don't see you. So it was just that was one of those moments. And then one of my lows, I'm gonna kind of speed it up. One of my lows is I caught COVID when I turned 25, and that was 5 years ago. There
Mhm.
was no vaccine at the time.
Yeah, I remember that.
Um, I had to learn how to literally walk again. and it was October 20th when all of that happened. So this would be the 5 years. And
Mm-hmm.
waking up from, I remember when it first came, they told me that the first hospital only gave me a Tylenol and sent me home the first day.
Mm.
The second one told me that it was the flu. And the third one, because COVID was so high in North Carolina, Charlotte only had one hospital that was treating COVID,
Wow.
made me wait for 4 hours. So I left and went home. Because at that time, it's like, I mean, I might as well go home anyway. I'm just sitting here. But it was so
Mm-hmm.
busy. And I'll never forget calling my mom. At that time, I was supposed to do something for the baby. And at that time,
Mm-hmm.
Cynthia Bailey was getting married. And I was in the process of negotiating doing the balloons for her wedding at that time. So my career at that moment was like there. You know, I was the only major black balloon artist at that time doing what I
Yeah.
was doing. Like
Mm-hmm.
I said. And fast forward through all of that, I woke up in ICU. Fever was 104. And I was like, well, you know, me mentally being the Virgo that I am, I was like, okay, so they're saying, when am I getting out of here? Like 2 or 3 days? Like, I didn't know the severity of it because I just
Mm-hmm.
did, you know, I'm just like, and my mom told me that she was like, they not letting you go home yet. And I was like, what? She was like, no. She was like, you can't function. And so the lady brought, I'll never forget it because I'm getting chills thinking about it now. The lady was like, I want to show you something. And I was like, okay. She said, I want you to try to pick up this cup. And my body hurt so bad that I couldn't even pick up a cup. So people had to literally feed me and bathe me for almost 70 days. And then I went to rehab.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my lowest moments because everybody knew me as being that person of
Mm-hmm.
happiness and fun. And when that post went up on Facebook, and I'll never forget it, I said, I am laying in my bed, but I'm spiritually still moving. That was literally what I said because I knew I could not be defeated. At that moment I was,
Yeah.
but it was like watching a movie, being in a boxing ring, and you know they doing a slow motion hit, and
Mm-hmm.
you like, oh, he about to lose
Mm-hmm.
the fight. He about to lose the.
Mm-mm.
I never felt like that. And
Mm.
there was a nurse, her name was Nurse Rose, and I had them write it on the board.
Mm-hmm.
My mother told them to write on the board, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And that was my scripture because they would have to come in and change the sheets and stuff. And it would
Mm-hmm.
hurt. And I would say that all when before they would move me, I said, I just got to say one thing, and I would say it.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a long time, but that was probably the lowest moment in my career. That was I can truly say that's a moment where I was like, God, I I I, I can't be 25 in a rehab.
Mm-hmm.
This is not it. And so I got out of there, and I was not supposed to be traveling at that time, and I didn't know this. So I had to move back in with my mom, and physical
Mm-hmm.
therapy was coming like every Tuesday and Thursday. Well, I had finally got this call from this huge event designer
Mm-hmm.
in floral designer in Atlanta. And when I say he's one of the top black floral designers in Atlanta, he has done like Eva's wedding. We did Jill Scott's birthday party together. Like he does amazing work. He called me and was like, "Hey, can you do balloons for this wedding, New Year's Eve?" Now, mind you, I'm still using a walker to move around. So I text my best friend. I'm like,
What
"Hey,
was the
bro."
time frame from that call to the time you checked out of the hospital?
It was about probably like 3.5 weeks.
Okay.
So I wasn't even supposed. I was supposed to do physical therapy for like 2 months.
Mm.
But I mean, I was like, so I pretty much lied to my mom to go to Atlanta, and I'll never forget it. I didn't want the floor designer and the planners to see me limping or using my walker at the time. So I had like three people with me that
Mm-hmm.
was assisting me. But I'll never forget when I got back to that hotel room, my best friend was with me. I started crying because she was like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm limping so bad." But we had finished it, but it was like I hadn't mastered my walking all the way. So it was like the
Mm-hmm.
walker was still like I didn't know how to
Mm-hmm.
explain it. Like if I work too hard now, I'll still limp a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
if the walker was pretty much like what I would lean on to help my support this side of my body because the muscles in
Mm-hmm.
this leg were done. And so
Yeah.
then I moved to Atlanta, and yeah, right after that, I didn't go back home. I didn't go
Mm-hmm.
back home. I was living in my Airbnbs and my hotel rooms because money
Mm-hmm.
was flowing because I was the new hot commodity. So everybody was just calling me. I would be like, okay, I'm leaving on Friday. Somebody's calling in Atlanta. That's just how it works in our industry. Hey, we need balloons. I'm like, I gotta stay. So then it became the Airbnb that I was staying at. I asked him like, hey, I'm a balloon artist and I'm growing my business. Can I stay? here for a
Mm-hmm.
month. And I mean, they're going to say, yeah, at that time I was like, oh, it's a good idea. But I was spending like $3,000 on an Airbnb. I'm like, yeah, that's why they're saying it's a good idea, because the rent here is only 1,800. I'm paying 3,300. I mean, I'm paying y'all $80 a day. So, and sometimes I would pay it like 500 in a week, so I didn't have to worry about it. So it was just like, I mean, you do the math. So that was
Mm-hmm.
one of the highs and the lows. But I have more highs than I have lows.
Mm. So you mentioned you had to bring someone to help you. Did you have a team prior to that event?
I didn't have a team prior to, so at that time it was me and my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So Fridays I would tell the leasing office, like, I'm done. I can't work weekends no more. And that's when how I knew it started becoming a thing. Because I was really getting busy, and at that time it's
Mm-hmm.
like they wanted us to work Sundays. I'm like, I got 3 baby showers that's paying way more than what my check is giving me. But at the same time, when you're when you live on site, like as a leasing, they give you a discount. So I couldn't really beat it. So it was like my best friend. I'm like, hey, she would
Mm-hmm.
drive the U-Haul for me. She would help me load up, but she didn't install, but she would be there to, like assist. So
Mm-hmm.
it was just me and her. And I probably didn't get a team until probably year three and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when
So,
my installs started getting bigger.
and I immediately thought about a question, even though that's not one of the ones on our list. So, how important is it to have a team? And what were some of the things you had to think about and consider when building your team?
I'm gonna say this, and we have a saying, because and it's funny. I always tell them I always want to always be known as like the Anne Wintour of balloons.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think of Anne Wintour, you think of like Beyonce, or you think of Dr. Martin Luther King, or you think of anybody high in power, the people around them
Mm-hmm.
have to match them. And so what flows from
Mm-hmm.
the head flows to the body. And so I am really big on that. So I had to care about trust. I had to care about, even
Mm-hmm.
if you had an artist, I hear some people like they had no experience. I love that for you, but I need you to come with some type of experience. So like I have someone just on my team that I may call for logistics. I'm not really amazing with logistics. I'm one of those people, I want to cover your whole house in balloons.
Mm-hmm.
And that my logistics girl's like, hold on now. These are the steps to do that. So around you, as you grow and you want to be great, you have to
Mm-hmm.
delegate. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing within in the Black community as well. We don't know how to do, because we're like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
they just want our money. No, if you don't know how to do certain things, but you have a full business, but this certain thing will help you grow, it's okay to let someone else do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. And I had to learn that too. And so that's why I had to stop depending on friends and family, because you guys are counting pockets. When in
Mm-hmm.
reality, that's not really what it is. By the time we buy the product, by the time we get this U-Haul, by the time we done driven 50 miles there and back, let me explain something to you. U-Haul has probably got at least 30,000 out of me since I've had my business. Because I mean, the gas, the mile, like it's
So
so
basically, it's time for you to get your own truck. In
yeah,
Jesus' name. Yeah, you need
yeah,
your own truck with the
I
with
do. I
the
do. Okay.
logo and everything on the side. You need your own truck. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We
Yeah.
already we receive it in Jesus' name. Yeah.
Amen. So a
Mm-hmm.
team is important. And so for me, it was just a trust, discernment also. Discernment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really big on, just because we are a Black owned business, we don't need to fit that status quo of a Black owned business. And so my team is that we don't show up with bonnets on. We don't show
Mm-hmm.
up, because there's a lot of event planners in our industry. They show up with the slides on, the bonnets on, setting up the baby showers. If you are charging a client $6,000, $15,000, $20,000,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't care what you look like showing up, but I don't want Ray Ray with his pants sagging all the way down, with your uncle having a cigarette hanging out his mouth looking at my
Professionalism.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. And I always tell my staff as well, when you go in Gucci, or when you go in Nordstrom's, or even when you go
Mm-hmm.
in Ruth Chris, or when you go to your favorite spa, is somebody greeting you with a cigarette like, hey, Ryan? No, because you're going to say, absolutely not. Someone greeting with
Exactly.
your pants sagging? No, it's everything we do has an image behind it. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how I built my team, of how they treat the vision, and how they, how we talk with each other, and how we build each other up.
Mm-hmm.
They actually threw me a surprise 30th birthday brunch. So I'm big on just making sure that my team is a reflection of who I am.
That is so good. And I like how you also said it, for you, it wasn't necessarily friends and family. I have known people to hire friends and family, and it's just having that discernment to know whether what works for you and what not
Mhm.
works for you. Because at the end of the day, you are trying to build a brand,
Right.
and you don't need anything to pull down on that brand. And honestly, what if someone wanted to get into what you're doing? Where do they need to start? Where do they need to go? Um, how would they get started?
Are you asking about balloons or in the event
Yeah,
industry in general?
balloon
Okay.
decor. Yeah.
I would say, to be honest, the first place I would say is go to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you need to know these days are on YouTube, and then find out what type of client you want.
Mm.
For me, I think I always tell people, I said, I remember when I first started, I wanted the celebrity clients and the big planners. I just want whoever's going to pay what I'm worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's it now, because I have normal clients that spend the same amount almost. I have one major millionaire client that
Mm-hmm.
spends, but it's the everyday client that we got to take of that is, and I love that. I think that's the one that warms my heart the most, where it's like, I've been saving up to book you for a year. That kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff for me is like, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
luxury to you now. You know what I mean? So I gotta treat this as a luxury. And
Yeah.
when you do right by people, the word
Mm-hmm.
gets around, and then now you really, living a vida loca. So
Okay. So you mentioned earlier social media. So you were very intentional. You said about some of the social media platforms you use. What do you use now, and what I guess was your intentionality behind those particular platforms when displaying your business?
so my biggest platform that I love the most is Instagram. Right now we're getting ready to transition and take on another one, which is TikTok. Um, what I loved about them is it's a whole different. The social media world is a whole. It's like algebra for me. Why does y equals this times this, like it's a, however, once you get it down pat, it's perfect,
Mm-hmm.
because even though I'm in that millennial phase, I still have to get on TikTok and be like, okay, wait, you pressed what to get how, okay, hold on now. So she did this, now she overlaid this. So I love content because I love
Mm-hmm.
that I'm able to show my personality. But
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, I learned that you're building a community, and
Mm-hmm.
so once you get that community, that's more of a polished look.
Okay.
Um, TikTok is more raw and uncut, like where you might be in the bed eating chips, and you're
Mm-hmm.
really just telling them like, "Hey guys, I just left the installation today." Blah blah blah. So for me, I'm
Mm-hmm.
always trying to be so polished, because when I
Mm-hmm.
was coming up, that's what the event industry looked like at that time. It was people in suits and people in gowns, and you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I've done a photo shoot in a suit and now I just
Mm-hmm.
did a photo shoot where I'm in Tim's and I'm comfortable, and
Mm-hmm.
so you're always evolving. And so the reason why I use Instagram and TikTok, because it's more relatable. I'm able to reach a main reach of people. We do have a
Mm-hmm.
website. I just actually spoke with a PR strategist, and they were telling me about LinkedIn. So I just started using LinkedIn. So any business owners, if you're looking to expand, to get a corporate client or to get in the room with CEOs, I would say LinkedIn is actually a good space. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
believe it at first. I'm like, but my friend was the PR lady that was actually telling me, she was
Mm-hmm.
like, you're a CEO, so why would you not be in the room with other CEOs?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how she said it. So LinkedIn is really good. Pinterest is good, because especially if you have something that you're selling, because your
Mm-hmm.
leads will click on that to go through there. But I love all of the social medias.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is to be a balloon influencer with fashion and
Mm-hmm.
balloons. So that's what my next pivot is.
Mm. Cause I'm actually, I was just making a post last night. I didn't post it, but I will. But it was like I was watching one of my former students who I think she's about 23, 24, and she was scrolling through Pinterest. And I used to
Hmm.
be on Pinterest, but for whatever reason I stopped.
Hmm.
And I was like, so what were you looking through? She's like, oh, Pinterest. And I just realized me doing what I'm doing, that's definitely an avenue that I can get back.
Yes.
I've been on LinkedIn for a minute, and honestly, there was one thing I disagree with you. To me, LinkedIn is more professional. Instagram, you could be a little bit looser in a sense. I know for
Now,
me,
now you can, but
now you can.
like,
Before,
yeah, like 6 years ago, I would have never thought about using LinkedIn, because I would have just like, and that's me thinking to myself, like, they don't care about balloons. But
Mhm,
I mean, they have an influencer right now. His name is DeAndre Brown. He endorses
mhm,
like LinkedIn and corporate.
mhm,
It's just crazy. Like I said, like we said, once you find something and you believe in it,
Mm-hmm.
It sells.
And it's a niche everywhere, like every social, and I believe depending on your profession,
Mm-hmm.
certain social medias are better than others, but I do
Yes.
believe definitely LinkedIn is one of. Another one I think you should also look at is YouTube.
So I have the YouTube. I'm going to be honest. If I did YouTube, it would be like this. Me coming to, because I keep trying to figure out what, and I ask my followers this all the time. Like, they
Mm-hmm.
love my BTS. So I did a documentary style BTS from when I
Mm-hmm.
had did Brat and Judy's son's first birthday party. I
Mm-hmm.
did a documentary style, and it had people loved it. People loved it. People, I mean, people in the industry was like, "This is a game changer."
Yes.
And so I would love to do things like that. And then also, if I did the YouTube, I kind of want to do a conversation called Deflate. Everything I do is
Mm-hmm.
around balloons. So like Deflate, where I would literally come on and just tell y'all about my weekend. And like we
Mm-hmm.
recap like everything. Like I was like literally a vlogging. I just haven't had time because those type of things you have to plan out. You have to have a content calendar. You have to have, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to have a videographer that's dedicated. Like I travel so
You're
much, so
right.
it's kind of like, you
But
know,
some, I don't mean to cut you off, Jay, but some of the videos you have posted can immediately already go on YouTube.
I know. I have a YouTube short. I think that's what it's called, YouTube short.
Yeah, as long as you have an account, you can do shorts or videos, and that's what
Yeah, so
like.
I just gotta, to be honest, I gotta find an app that posts on everything all at one time. If I can do
Yeah,
that,
that helps too.
that would just be easy because I hate, dude, that you can't have this, you can't,
Welcome
Instagram
to
can't
my
have the
life.
watermark for TikTok. It's like by the
Is
time after I do two posts, I'm like, oh, today has drained me.
yes,
Mm.
yes. So that may be something else. And I know me eventually, I'm not there yet, but that may be something else you can look at eventually. Just
Yes.
there are people that's their job
Yeah.
is to do your social media. But I'm to the point now, I'll do a video on TikTok and then before I even post it, download it, because it's certain things that if I want to upload a soundtrack, I can't take that over the Facebook. So I'll download it before I put the soundtrack on it. And that way, and then if I have to shorten it, because with the shorts, it'll only be
Yeah.
a minute on YouTube. So with CapCut, so I'll admit I do a little bit too much, but it's a process to
It
what I'm
is a
doing.
process. It is a process, and I've invested in classes for content because I love it. I love
Mm-hmm.
content, so like I travel a lot with my business. So
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason why Delta shouldn't be endorsing me. There's no reason why I shouldn't have Marriott saying, "Hey, when you're in New York," because that's what
Mm-hmm.
the influencers are doing. But we don't
Yeah.
think like that because it's
Mm-hmm.
like you got to look at it right now. You have teachers that's going viral for rapping in their
Mm-hmm.
classroom.
Mm-hmm.
It was back in the day. It was forbidden for us to do stuff like, you know what I mean. It's like, no, you can't do that. No, the students on here on TikTok
Mm-hmm.
talking with the teacher. No, you couldn't do stuff like that. So now it's like, if you feel like
Mm-hmm.
you have a market, go do it and watch how God blows your mind.
Exactly. And he will do exactly that. So, is there any last words or any encouraging things you want to say, any advice you want to give, or anything to sum up how awesome you are?
Number one, always have clarity, but always have courage.
Mm.
Number two, be humble as a person, but never humble about your business. If you feel like you deserve to be in that room, you get in that room.
Mm.
Number three, don't ever sit at a table that you weren't invited at. Don't ever force yourself at a table because when it's your time to shine, they're going to be opening up seats. Hey, you
Mm.
want to, no. And every no isn't a no. It may just be not right now.
Mm.
Um, and my last thing is it's not a saying, it's more of a scripture. It's my favorite one. When
Mhm.
I feel like I'm bombarded, I always remember Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans. It's not I for Ryan knows, for Jayren
Mm.
knows, for this part. No, it's for I know. It's he knows the plan. And I think also as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, I want to be a millionaire. I want to do this. I want to do. God, use my business to showcase what you want to do for me. That's
Yes.
it. That's it. Use my
Yes.
business to enlighten others. Use my business. If and at one point I think me and you have talked about this before. At one point I thought I was going to be a
Mhm.
pastor. You know,
Mhm.
so
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, so At this moment, Lord, if this is my ministry and I'm running around doing balloons to make people happy, that's a ministry. This podcast is a
Exactly.
ministry.
Please say that again. Please say that again, because a lot of people think
I'm not getting, I don't have to pat my face and sweat 10 times and ask you and do the hokey pokey. No. If this is what I've been praying for and God has put me in this thing, this is my ministry. This is what I am doing at this moment. And so don't ever, if it's moms on here, entrepreneurs, young people, old people, if you have something that you want to do, if you have a voice, if you have something that you lose sleep about, then you need to do it. So those are my words. And once again, I am Jayren with What's Poppin Balloon Decor. You guys can follow me on all of those platforms that we talked about. And it has truly been an honor. I love doing this. Like this is what I want to pivot to. I want to get into the high schools, into the schools. I want to like start going to go talk to the students. I do. I want to start doing that. Project Pop Out. That is something I want to work on where I'm going where it's okay if you want to do makeup, if you want to do fitness, if you want I want to go in and talk to them.
Yeah.
I haven't had the resources yet, so it'll all
Well, generally resources, it may start with simply finding out the area high schools when they have their career day.
Okay.
Sometimes with the career day, they'll either have you set up a booth in the gym.
Okay.
I've seen it where they have you go in a classroom and you can show slides and that can be a start. And then from there,
then make it a thing. See, because I'm already like, I want the whole auditorium. I just want, I want the auditorium. I don't want to go in the classroom. I need cameras.
That could be it too.
Yeah.
So, but that's a way to get started. But also, I mean, you'd be surprised what people are willing to do and how they're willing to get you in once they see what you're doing and how you can empower our young people. Awesome. So it's just a matter of knowing who and what you need to have in place. But definitely career day is a start. But I can see you taking over the gyms and the auditorium.
Yes. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to do a panel with young entrepreneurs from makeup artists to fitness, because fitness is a thing now too. Because even I don't know if this is true or not, but I've seen like the high schoolers, they go work out more than the actual adults these days.
I have a child who got his own Planet Fitness membership.
See what I mean? And so even the fitness people, they're the ones making the money. They're making money. My trainer that I used to go to, he was getting like $325 for me a month. Like, you know, it's a thing. So, and fitness is important, especially with anything that you do. As I've gotten 30, that turnover in the morning sometimes might be a little slower now. It's a little slower. That stretch down to pick up that balloon may take me about 5 minutes, but I just want to get in and tell them, if you got a voice, use it, please.
So. And they need to hear that. And they definitely will hear that when I repost certain things from this platform. But what's next for you? Like, what is coming up for you? Are you allowed to share what's coming on? I mean, what's coming up?
So what's next? We just did a big installation for Sephora. We are working with more brands. I'm speaking it into existence, but I do want to be on the Essence platform next year. And so I want to be on the Essence platform. And so I want to do this where I'm talking to young Black creatives. I want to get into those Black cultural panel discussions now. I want to get on more podcasts. And this was on my vision board. So these are things that I want to do because I don't always have to go and install a balloon for you to see the message or for you to get the message. I want to talk. I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you as well. So that's the next thing for me, is to take the balloons and just take it more deeper than what it is. It's bigger than balloons.
Oh my gosh. So y'all, that is, I think this is episode 6. I'm at a losing count and I am just enamored. I am immensely proud to say that I actually taught him. I've been extremely blessed where in the era, matter of fact, when I left Coolwood Middle, that's when Facebook just started. MySpace was the thing that was really popping.
MySpace was still popping, yes.
Yes. And then Facebook, you know, came up. So I remember having a page where I was friends with former students and then I had my adult friends. And eventually as I got older, I merged the two. But just to see people like Jay and some other students who are doing the daggone thing. And it just makes your heart, because when you saw that early, and you see that blossom, because sadly, the opposite end of teaching is seeing kids who did not either make it or they have not tapped into their potential yet.
Yes.
And I'm going to say yet because eventually they can. But it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to see when someone, again, as a 6th grader, planned a baby shower, decorated, planted the program, to now that he is putting in installs at celebrities. And I like how he said, even you said, it doesn't have to be the celebrity, whoever's willing to pay for me and understands my worth.
Yes.
He understands the value of what he does. So again, if you're not already following him, please do. Because when I say, what was it? And I should have read the caption, but it looked like it was like maroon towers, but it was like 4 of them.
I just did that in Brooklyn this weekend.
So what
did that in Brooklyn this weekend.
Oh my gosh. So it's just like every single time he posts something, I immediately reshare, because it's like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. This is crazy. So thank y'all so much for joining me.
Thank you.
The next episode, don't you go anywhere yet. But I want to tell y'all online, the next episode you will see will be October 10th. Normally I don't have 2 airings in a week. But because of how things worked and schedules, that's the way it worked out. But we're talking about creating a legacy, leaving a legacy. It's time for us, especially as Black people, to stop waiting until somebody die to figure out what we're going to do. We need to go ahead and have the trust in place. We need to have the life insurance, the medical attorney, all that stuff in place.
That stuff is important.
Yes. So Calderon Sr. is coming on to talk to us about that, which I'm very excited about. And I already have episode 8 coming up. Her name is Arisha Connor. She is an actress. She was a teacher, went back to acting, then went back to teaching. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to bet on myself. So she has been in Swagger. She has been in, I cannot remember the name of that. Oh, it was called, oh gosh, I'm blanking out. But I can show you her. She's been on All American. She was one of the moms who her son got killed. I mean, it's a lot. She has a resume, and she
once you bet on yourself, it's a done deal.
And what I love about it is, if I'm 44, she might be 45, 46.
Okay.
So just going into that notion that we really do, for some reason, I don't know why at age 25, we thought we had to have it figured out. But make sure y'all tune in. Her episode is going to be October 24th, if I'm not mistaken, at 8 o'clock, and that would be live stream. But thank y'all so much, and y'all have a good night.